You're watching the VetTunes podcast, the show that shines a spotlight on military and veteran artists. Stand by for transmission. All right, stand by for transmission indeed. Today we are transmitting to you from the bunker at Harmony Hill, and we have a very good friend of mine, Greenside Corpsman, Mr. Shannon Book. Just an incredible singer-songwriter out there doing great things with his words and his actions. Exactly the folks that we want to highlight on this show. And yes, for those of you who don't know, VetTunes is a show that shines a spotlight on military and veteran artists. And when we were putting this show together, you were one of the first people I thought of. And, you know, I was just like, hey, we got an idea. And I sent you, and you were like, yeah, man, anytime. So, you know, you happened to be traveling through the Nashville area. So yes, got to come in here. And, you know, you may have seen some of the earlier episodes. We've done 5. One of them has been virtual, and we may do some more of those. Sure. But the first set was kind of over there, cramped into a little area, and we decided, you know, this is our live room at Harmony Hill, and we're a functioning studio, so we decided we're going to open it up and, you know, spread out some cameras and
it looks great,
just,
man.
Just stretch out, you know.
I love it. It looks great.
Yeah.
And the sabers back here in case we get invaded.
Yeah.
So we're good.
Get the Mameluke back there just chilling out.
Absolutely.
So, well, anyways, thank you for being here.
Thanks for
having
me,
It's an absolute honor. And, you know, I want to learn about, more about you and your journey into not only the military, but then your journey into music and kind of how those two have intertwined, or if they did.
Well, I think that all, yeah. I mean, and again, thank you for having me here, man.
Of course.
You've been a huge inspiration in my musical career for a long time, but the two have always kind of coincided. Music has always been a part of my heart. I was always singing in the back seat of the car. Dad was like, shut up, I can't hear the radio. And I'd be back there going, singing under my breath. And then in 5th grade, I started playing saxophone. And I got tired of sheet music.
Yeah.
So my grandfather, one time, my grandpa Book grabbed, he bought me a Boots Randolph's Greatest Hits album, cassette. Mm-hmm. And he says, if you can learn to play this front and back, I'll buy you your next saxophone. What my grandfather didn't understand is that I had an alto and that Boots played a tenor. Okay. But I made it work. Yeah. I made it work, man. I made it work, and I worked my tail off. I would do the band stuff all the way up into 9th grade. But after that, like, it was more about me learning Boots Randolph. And I didn't realize at the time that he'd taught me how to train my ear. I had no idea. Yeah. I didn't realize what was going on, but that's how I taught my ear how to learn music. You know, we didn't have YouTube. You didn't have YouTube. Like, playing guitar, like, I didn't even know how to read tablature until I was like maybe 25 or 30. Yeah. You know, and so that's where I started. And, you know, and then I started picking up choir and playing guitar. I would borrow my buddy Jesse Durham's Alvarez, like, for a week at a time to play, you know, to learn how to play it. Yeah. And it was horrible. And then I'd have to give it back, and he'd keep it for a couple of weeks, and then he'd let me borrow it for a while.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's a friend.
Yeah. Yeah.
The first instrument I wanted to play was saxophone. Yeah. But my mom, she had grown up, or not grown up, but there was always music around the house, and my dad was big into jazz and jazz saxophonists, and there was much wailing of the saxophone, and Mom didn't much care for the wailing of the saxophone. So when it came time to sign up for band instruments, I said, I'm going to play saxophone. She's like, you can't, you have asthma.
Awesome.
So I was like,
did you put that on your waiver for the Marine Corps?
Because I'm not sure if that was a medical diagnosis or not.
I'm pretty sure that was a mom diagnosis.
I think that was a mom diagnosis, so as not to hear the wailing saxophone. Right. Yeah, I just love the sound of a saxophone.
Absolutely. Well, I can tell you that I was not allowed to play it in the house. I had to go outside. Okay. I had to go outside into the wilderness of Kentucky. Yeah. And learn the saxophone.
And early on, it sounds like you're doing, you know, deer and elk calls.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's horrible. Terrible. But once you start refining your sure, those big, huge, lengthy words that just means your mouth,
How you hold your
artistic people, we got to be special.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. Special words.
Special words. But yeah, no, so but that was the start of my musical career. And and I used to love singing Garth Brooks, and so that, like, and my last name was Book, so they just call me, Garth Book. And I'm like, yeah, you guys suck. Nobody likes you guys.
Yeah. It's amazing. Al Gonzalez was in here, and he was saying early on that Garth was a big gateway into community, or the country music community, as well as the well-crafted song.
Absolutely.
And he was the biggest country artist that I had heard of, because I really didn't know a whole lot about country up until I don't know, my young late teens, early 20s, and
Sure.
Garth was becoming Garth.
Right. Well, and when I was growing up, I grew up in Kentucky, and we'd hear bluegrass. We'd go over to our neighbor's house, and they'd be picking flat tops right on the freaking porch, just picking and a grinning.
Mm-hmm.
And you see that stuff, and growing up around it, it just kind of, to me, I always thought that was cool. I still consider bluegrass the original metal. I don't care what anybody says. Be a metal player and go find a bluegrass band to play with. I promise you, you're gonna have to earn your lead and salt, boy.
You ever watch those videos on the reels or whatever, and it's these bluegrass bands covering Van Halen or Metallica or AC/DC, and just flat slaying it.
Absolutely killing it, man. And that's so when they're like, "Oh yeah, Metallica, watch this,"
and then they're gonna throw the harmonies on top of it,
yes,
just to flex,
just a little. Yeah,
that bluegrass is no joke.
No, I'm telling you, it's the original metal. But we used to hear that stuff on the porches, man.
Yeah,
that was just Granny'd be out there with her spit cup or freaking Folgers cup, her Folgers can, spitting her big leaf chew in it. And when I say big leaf, I mean like Levi Garrett. Granny spitting Levi Garrett, just
pulling off the plug.
Yep, just true story. She'd have to cut it because she didn't have many teeth left. The Elkins family was some awesome people, man, and I got to experience some really cool stuff.
Nice,
But that's what I grew up around, and my family was very musical as well. My Uncle Chris was my hero when I was probably 10. I still remember seeing my Uncle Chris. There's a picture of my Uncle Chris in my head. He's playing some stupid bar in Richmond, Kentucky, but he's in these freaking like polyester bell bottoms and this silk shirt, and he's got this Gibson SG, and he's just getting in it, and you can see him on the microphone, and I'm just like, I want to be like my Uncle Chris.
Nice.
Yeah. And before he passed away, God rest his soul, I asked him if he'd sign my guitar. And so I had him sign my Paul Reed Smith SE. And it says to Shannon, and he didn't even spell my name right. It was SHANNON. Love you, Uncle Chris. And I was like, oh, that's perfect, man. That's perfect. That ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
So nice. I just kind of covered it, and I said, that ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
That will be on that guitar until it dies.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So he was my hero too, man. So my family, and both my cousins are amazing musicians. Well, Chad is no longer here either, but he taught me how to play my first song. My cousin Chad, the first song I ever learned how to play was More Than Words. And
the Extreme song.
Nuno, I hate you for that, but I also love you for that. It was probably, so it took me a whole year to learn how to play that song on that borrowed Alvarez.
Yeah. And
still to this day, I can't play it and sing it because it's just too much.
Yeah.
It's too much going on.
Well, I mean, vocally and guitar-wise.
Yes. Yeah. Like those guys, yeah, it's an amazing song.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
and then, when everybody bought the song, all of a sudden it's like, well, wait a minute.
Yeah.
What happened? And it's all the heavier stuff. And,
oh yeah. Absolutely. More Than Words. And then, pornography, what was it? Pyro, I don't remember what the album was, but like, if you don't like what you see here, you get the funk out. Yeah, get the funk out, all that stuff. Like, and that was a great album, man.
Oh yeah.
That was a killer album.
I think that was the same album as More Than Words.
It was.
But you put those two songs next to each other.
Absolutely.
Like, what, are you kidding me?
Absolutely. So those were my favorites. And that's kind of where my that's probably where my performing career started.
And what age is that? What were you about
Probably
then?
about 15, 16.
Okay.
And then I got into high school choir, and then that was kind of fun. And I enjoyed being in the choir. Miss Wright was probably one of the best choir teachers, probably one of the best teachers I ever met, because she loved the kids. And I mean, I had some really great teachers growing up. I really did. But Miss Wright, somehow, some way, she just knew how to corral us all and put us all on the stand, on the stanchions, and get us to sing what she wanted to hear. And man, she was good at it. She was good at it. She ended up we ended up having a Latin choir to go to we went to nationals in the choir for Latin.
Nice.
Ave Maria, bro. One of the best songs in the world. It still makes my heart ring.
Mm.
Yeah, man. Whoa. Makes my skin crawl.
It's amazing the impact that music teachers have had, I mean, especially when you later on, when you become a musician or a songwriter, and you kind of look back to those roots, and it starts in elementary school sometimes.
Yes.
But I remember the teachers and the band directors and the conductors and all of that stuff.
Mr. Heron taught me everything I know about saxophone. That dude was crazy.
And then I think of all the hell we gave him. It's like, oh, man.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Y'all didn't deserve that.
No, absolutely not.
We didn't know any better. But
you guys,
we
sorry.
appreciate you.
Sorry. But yeah, those people are the people that got me here. Like Miss Wright, I can tell you that woman probably taught me how to use my heart more than anybody in my life.
Mm.
Because she taught me to connect to my heart to sing.
Yeah.
That was the first time I realized what connecting to my heart really was all about. I mean, and that's not a bang on family or raising kids or any of that stuff, because there's no rule book for raising kids and all that stuff. But she taught me how to sing and connect to my heart to make it real. Biggest lesson of my life.
That's a great lesson early on, is how to emote.
Yeah. Biggest lesson in my life.
Or letting yourself emote.
And then, of course, you join the Marine Corps or the Navy, and you learn how to not emote.
Yeah, it's anti-emote.
Anti-emote. Or you just have to emote.
Yeah.
You have to emote grunt.
So you're, 15, 16, you're starting to play some music. You're also getting around time to, answer the call. And the beauty of this show is everybody that's sitting in that seat.
Everybody that sat in that seat.
At some point raised their right hand to support and defend, and then also happened to be great, singer-songwriters and artists and all that kind of stuff. But, what led you to the Navy?
Man, so I'm just going to get this out of the way real quick. I wanted to be a Marine. Because, they had the best commercials. They still have the best commercials. I don't give a shit who you are.
The commercials are fire.
They are facts.
To quote the kids
who else
nowadays.
slays a dragon with a saber? Kiss my ass. But so I wanted to be a Marine, and my grandfather, both my grandparents, my grandpa Sergeant was a soldier, and my grandpa Book was a sailor, and I was influenced by both of them. And and I never really thought about joining until it got to that time. Like I thought about it, and I was thinking about it, and I was like, And right about that time, Desert Shield started.
Mm-hmm.
Desert Shield started. I was 17 years old. I was finishing up my senior year, or it was just before my senior year. No, it was a couple years before my senior year. It was probably my sophomore year. Holy crap, I'm old. Wow, it's weird when you finally see it on your face, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, damn, I'm old. But so Desert Storm happened, and that's all that's on TV.
Yeah,
that's all we're watching. There was only 4 channels back there anyway.
Right.
We didn't have what everybody has in the world now. Mm-hmm. Everything at your disposal. We had 4 channels: ABC, NBC, PBS, and
CBS.
That was it. That's all you had. And, hey, go change the channel. Oh, we're watching the Desert Storm again, And it's all green light freaking stuff and, watching tanks. And I was like, I want to do that.
Mm.
I want to do that. I want to protect and serve my country. And that was the moment I decided. And so I started to talk to both my grandparents about it. And my uncle, or my grandpa Sergeant, he's an old ornery old man, and I loved him to death. But he was just, he's just an old grumpy soldier. And I was like, I'm really not interested in the Army.
Yeah.
not interested in the Army. And my grandpa Book was a sailor. And he would tell me about ports of call and all this cool stuff. And I was just like, man, that sounds cool. And I was like, but I want to go fight war for this country. I want to bring the fire to the fight. And so I walked in the Marine Corps recruiting office, you know, and I walked in and I did all that stuff. And they were like, hey, so what do you want to be? And I was like, well, I want to be a doctor. He was like, what? I'm like, I want to be a doctor. And prior to that, I had cut my toes off with a lawnmower that year prior. And I was talking, my surgeon was this little old German guy, just, you know, and he still had a German accent, and he would talk me through the whole thing, what was going on with my foot and the reconstruction and all that stuff. And I just got fascinated with medicine and surgery and all that stuff. And so I'm sitting in the
rough way to go about getting fascinated into it, but
true story. True story. But so I'm sitting in the back office with Gunny, and he's like, it's like, so what do you want to be? And he goes, we could be a sniper, you can be a cop, you can be a warrior, you can be a logistics guy, you could be a pilot, you can do all kinds of stuff. And I said, I want to be a doctor. And he spit Copenhagen in his coffee cup, and he set it back down on the counter. And he goes, you sure? I said, yes, sir. And he says, well, hey, boy, walks me over to the Navy office right across the hall. And he opens the door, and he walks me in the door, and he goes, hey, Boats, this young man, right? He's talking to a second-class boiler tech and didn't give a shit. Hey, Boats, this young man right here wants to be a Fleet Marine Force corpsman. Make it happen. And that was it.
Beautiful.
That was it. And I was like, yeah, sure, sounds whatever he says. That's what I want to do. Yeah. And that's where my career in the Navy started, you know, and I DEP program, all that stuff. But like my DEP was short and it was, you know, out the door. Yeah. And I was on my way to San Diego, a little podunk, corn-fed kid boy from, you know, Kentucky. And I was in the middle of San Diego. Culture shock.
San Diego.
It means whale's vagina. No, it actually, what a great movie.
I love that movie.
It's a great movie.
So is that where Field Med
No,
was?
that's where I went to boot camp.
Boot camp.
That's where I went to boot camp before they shut all of it down.
Okay.
Yeah, I went to San Diego boot camp. I went to RTC boot San Diego, right next to MCRD.
Okay.
Weirdly enough, my first experience with a drill instructor happened at boot camp. We had this guy named Mike who was a 2-time class drop, and he was sent back to our platoon and or our company. And I was the freaking master at arms of the company, and I was on watch like 2 o'clock in the morning, and I just hear this on the freaking front hatch, and I'm like, you know, and I'm like, I can't. Oh wow! I just wanted to finish my watch. So I opened the door, and there's these 2 DIs standing there with this dude with his ass beat all up. Mike had decided that he wanted to go AWOL, and he jumped the fence. He obviously didn't know where he was going because he ended up on MCRD San Diego.
Oh shit!
And they caught him, and they thumped the shit out of him, and then he brought him back to the freaking. And so we walked him straight into the company commander, and the next day he was gone.
Yeah. Wow.
That was my first experience with a drill instructor, and I was like. Not it, boys. Not it. I'm good. Thank you. Yes, sir. This recruit will take you anywhere you want. So, aye, sir. That was my first experience. And I was like, no. So, yeah.
So boot camp was how long for you?
Boot camp was 8 weeks for me.
Okay. And then it was off to Field Med?
It was off to Corps School, which was in San Diego.
Okay.
The Naval Medical Center there. And then I went to Corps School. I was working to go to Buds with some friends, and we were swimming and PTing and doing all this stuff. And I may or may not have had my ass beat a few times by a couple of SEALs at freaking Short Tour Marching Party and freaking RTC, because every time somebody got in trouble in the company, the Master Arms had to go with them. It was like the guide. Like, hey, this is your house. Yeah. You're either going to keep it squared away or you're going to keep going back with these cats. And I'm like, Marching Party was only 4 hours of getting your ass beat on a grinder by SEALs. Short Tour was a lot longer, and you did it with a pot, an M14, ceremonial M14, and you just got your ass handed to you for 8 hours. And they're like, hey, stay hydrated. Absolutely. So my first Short Tour, I was like, I'm not doing that again. So that's where I decided that I wanted to work toward being a SEAL. And then I got married to my first wife. Of course, after Corps school, I didn't go straight to field med. I worked at the Naval Medical Center at San Diego in freaking Balboa. And I worked in general surgery, and I spent a year there because they had already basically filled up the freaking school quota. And then, of course, they have to keep the Creo rate loose and all that stuff, blah, 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 all that garbage. So I worked there, basically did endoscopy, proctology, and general surgery. And I did some tech work and OJT stuff, and it was probably some of the best learning I've done in my life. I learned a lot about medicine. I worked directly with a lot of surgeons, and they were all teachers, and they were amazing at it.
Nice.
One of the best teachers and he was probably one of the most honorary captains I've ever met, was Mike Egan. Captain Mike Egan, surgeon, general surgeon. And that dude, like, hell of a surgeon. People couldn't stand him because he was not a nice guy. He was, if you got to know him.
Right.
But if you're just a tool and you're like, Mike Egan didn't have anything to do with you. He was like, no, I ain't playing your game. This is my house.
Yeah.
That was Mike Egan. But if you got to know him, he would teach you everything. And I loved that dude.
Nice.
Dr. Carlisle, there's so many names that I can name that taught me so much medicine. So much medicine.
And this is like Blue Side at the time, or this is just general?
I'm like 18, Mike. I'm 18 years old. The first time I ever did a cardiac lavage, I was 19. And a cardiac lavage is you're squeezing somebody's heart in surgery, open. That was the first time I'd ever did a cardiac lavage. I was 19 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, it was weird.
He called you in from the bench. Hey,
I was just walking through the room, bro, and he's like, "Hey, get a glove on, sterilize your hands, get your glove on, and get over here and squeeze your hand." And I was like, I will survive the whole time.
Wow.
I will survive. I will.
Is that the ditty? Is that the ditty they teach you?
Yeah, like that's what we tell you to do. Freaking push, CPR to.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the same thing. Just squeeze that heart, man. Just keep squeezing it. The guy crashed on the table. And I was walking through grabbing stuff out of the freaking, like, whatever. And everybody else was, like, stuck doing something.
What does that feel like to squeeze someone? I mean, like, I can only imagine, the muscle that the heart is.
So the muscle is the strongest body in your the strongest muscle in your body. It is the biggest and strongest muscle in your body. And when you squeeze it, it's like, you ever, the rubber baseballs, the elastic baseballs that they make, like the trainer baseballs?
Yeah.
They're pretty tough, right? They're pretty hard.
Yeah.
So if you could imagine that, the size of your fist and wrapping your hands around it and squeezing it, trying to get it to move, that's what it felt like.
So you didn't have any concerns about, like, squishing through it? I mean, like, you could
absolutely,
tell it
no,
was a
absolutely
very,
not. Absolutely not. It's
very
a very
tough
dense
muscle.
It's a very dense muscle. Now, what I can tell you is that, like, I didn't know what I was doing. I mean, I knew what I was told to do. I just did what I was told to do.
Right.
And it was an experience for sure. But when you, like, in that moment, like, it's a dire moment. Like, you're either gonna help out or you're not. Get out of the way, and I don't know if that's ever happened to anybody else, but I know, like, that moment was pretty dire, and I was scared to death.
What an opportunity, though.
Yeah. Dude's chest cracked wide open, like they're trying to stop a bleed or something. I don't know what it was. And they're just like, squeeze, just keep squeezing. And I'm like, okay. And then they got me out of the way. They got it all squared away. They got me out of the way and they said, all right, you can leave. That was it. That's Navy medicine at its finest, brother.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, people don't realize this, but Navy medicine and Navy diving and all kinds of stuff has been learned from the Navy. Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I was talking to Sal, and he was saying once they hit the IED and he figured out that, his leg was in bad shape, he's like, I just did what I think we do best, and that's let the Navy do their job. So he kind of sat back and surrendered the moment to Doc, and and then
listen. There's a bond between us that people still to this day, from where I stand, most people don't understand. The hardest thing, like, it's hard when we lose brothers, regardless.
Of course.
The hardest thing for us, at least for me, is losing people that you've had barbecues with, and you've seen their kids, and you've met their wives, and you know their story, and when you're lying to them right into their face because they're leaving, that's hard. That's hard, and that's a lot of shit to carry.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of shit to carry.
That's a heavy pack.
It's no different than being a grunt, though, because 9 times out of 10, there's going to be some grunt who's going to lose his freaking base plate, and I'll have to carry that for him anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Doc, can you carry this receiver? Sure, fine. So, but no, I mean, that's just what we do for each other. It's just a bond that I don't care. I've got to the point now to where I've discerned like good people and bad people, but generally Marines get a huge grace period always for me. Marines will always get a huge grace period.
Yeah, I think being a ground guy, being an infantry guy, when you have a doc, there's corpsmen.
There's a difference. There's a difference.
Corpsmen that are assigned to Marine units, but then there's the doc, and if doc's around, you're good.
Yeah, and there's the difference, and the simple difference is living the lifestyle, just being a part of the family.
Yeah,
that's the simple part. Learning their jobs, knowing what they're supposed to be doing, figuring out what their actual personalities are like, getting to know them, being there and being in the moment when they need you the most. That is the most important part about being a doc.
Yeah.
And like the sad part about medicine for me is that they always used to teach us it's not personal. Don't get personal with this. It's a job.
Yeah.
And when it came to sick call and all that stuff, I could never separate the two. I could never separate this. This is life and death, or this is whatever. And I could never. It was all real to me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, perhaps it's different for the folks that if you're in a hospital and somebody comes in, they're a patient, or you kind of fix and move on. But to be in your position as a doc is you're constantly immersed in these, your fellow Earth pigs around you.
And I'm working on my friends. And, I still crack the joke. I'm like, hey, man, don't touch that. But, Doc, it's cute. I know, but now we have to kill it because it's got your finger in its belly. Like I crack that joke all the time.
Yeah.
But that's literally what my 17 years was like. But I wouldn't trade that for nothing. I got woke up one morning at like, I don't know, 3 on a Saturday. It was in first tanks. It's this, and I'm a little hungover. I might be a little hungover at this point in time, and I opened the door, and this guy's standing there, and his arm is bent like this, and I'm like, "What did you do?"
You got a second elbow.
Yeah, I'm like, "What did you do?" He's like, "Doc, I fell down a ladder well. I got a little drunk, and I fell down a ladder well." And I'm like, "Sure you did."
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, as I get him in a vehicle, and we get ready to go up to the freaking emergency room to 29 Palms.
Mm-hmm.
On the other side of the barracks, they're jumping off the third deck on the mattresses.
Well,
so I put 2 and 3 together, and now we got 5.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I'm not going to say anything, but the next time we do this again, I'm going to make it a wind tunnel, and we're just going to freaking make it a fan. Because I'm going to make you feel that pain.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I was talking to somebody about that the other day. I'm like, they would stack 15 mattresses up and then jump off the third deck.
Absolutely. All the time. Like, I'm telling you, I was like 19 years old watching these idiots do this stuff, and I'm going, why are you doing this? Why?
Yeah.
But also at that same time, at 19, that was the first time my first medevac, I was 19. My first medevac, I called in air. Top Adams looked at me, he goes, Doc, you want to get air here? And I was like, sure, Top. And we had, so I don't know if you know much about the M1A1, like those guns, once they're trained, they trace, they follow the target. And it's rough terrain out there in 29 Palms. There's some nasty doopty-doos and lumpty-wops and whatever you want to call them. And so this
Waddies.
Yeah, waddies. We'll just call them washes and waddies. That's what they called them. But we're doing I want to say we were just doing a live fire exercise for tanks. And they're out there running drills, and this kid, they fire a round. This kid throws a round into the gun and arms it. And as he does, they hit a big, huge, hill. And that main gun traced that target all the way to the top of that turret. Now, that main gun weighs about 7 tons. and it's pressurized from here to here. Looked like peanut butter and jelly. That was my first real medevac.
Mm.
And medevac and Casvac, one's for combat and one's for training, but it doesn't really matter. Like that dude's arm was a
Bleed
noodle.
out just as fast.
That's a fact. That dude's arm was a noodle.
Mm.
Everything was still encased, but it was basically a bag of blood. And I put him in a splint. I used the freaking range marker flags.
Okay.
I just used the range marker flags from, right side and left side. And I basically built a splint and I swathed him in it. And Top was looking at me like, Doc, you want a bird in here? And I was like, Top, I ain't gonna say no.
Yeah.
Because we were out in like Lava Lake or some shit. Like that's a long way away.
Yeah.
Getting him to a hospital and freaking in a Humvee, it's gonna take a little while.
Sure.
And I'll never forget the first time I ever saw a 53 buzz in. It was the coolest thing in my life.
So they'll just frag any aircraft that's in the area.
Yep.
And there's usually somebody there
Lift
for a
of
catch.
opportunity. United States Marine Corps, baby. And them boys just flew in, grabbed him, grabbed me. We went back and got him taken care of. And he still has the use of his arm today. I mean, I haven't talked to him since the last time I saw him. He was a PFC when that happened, and the last time I saw him was a corporal. And I think I might have been a second class. And that was, but he still had use of his arm.
Wow.
Yeah. It wasn't pretty, but it was still usable.
Yeah.
And that was crazy. But that was the coolest thing in the world to see that freaking bird fly in.
Yeah.
And I was like, I picked the right job.
And then when they take off, it's a whole different
Oh yeah.
rocks and the
rotor
wash
on the bird you don't care.
No, you were right
on the bird you don't care because it's just like, and you hear the they throw chaff just because it's protocol or whatever, and it was just cool. It was cool. I was like, yeah.
So this is early 20s. Late teens,
this
early
is
20s.
19, 20 years old, man. I haven't been legal to drink yet.
And were you playing music at the time?
Oh yeah, I was playing music all over the place. Like I was still down in San Diego when I was at Balboa. Like I was down in freaking San Diego busking the streets.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, like there was a period of time where I had met all kinds of like Bradley from freaking Sublime. Used to play at this place called called Chillers down on Mission Beach, and he would sit in the freaking middle of that bar. There was a dance floor, a little checkered dance floor, and he'd sit in the middle of that thing with a stool and a beat up old guitar, and he'd just wail.
Yeah,
drunk as nails, boy. And I walk in one time, and he'd be like, "Hey, you want to play something, man?" I'd be like, "Sure, dude." And that was like where it started. That was where I started busking, and I would play down on the gas lamp. There was a wig shop. There's this huge old wig shop down on the gas lamp, and I would sit in front of that wig shop, and I would play guitar and just sing.
Yeah,
and it was just that whole change in your pocket, whatever, like best experience of my life, man.
The old school version of getting likes and follows.
Yeah.
Here's 50 cents.
That's when you knew you had to earn your stripes back then.
Man.
That was earning your stripes. And I just did a bunch of covers and stuff. I didn't really start writing until I was probably about 22, 23. My first marriage and soon to be divorce, There's a lot of trash going on, and there's a lot of heartache in that.
Mm-hmm. Did you realize that music was an outlet for that, or did that kind of come later on when you realized that this is a means to?
Yeah, I think. Well, so at the time, I just wanted to play music. I wanted to be a rock star, kind of just like everybody else starts out. Like I want to be a rock star. That looks like fun.
Yeah,
and I don't think that until I came back from like Fallujah did I use music as therapy or understand that it was a better outlet for me. Like, because it was always, I just want to talk. Well, when I started writing, I realized that it was more therapeutic.
Right.
When I started creating my own music and starting doing my own things, like at that point it became more cathartic and more therapeutic. But I didn't realize how important it was going to be later on. I never realized how important it was going to be to me later on.
Right.
It was just a means to an end at that point.
Yeah, just something fun to do.
Yeah, I'm just hanging out, just having a good time. I'm going to come here, play some music, drink some free beer, and have a blast. Yeah. Maybe get laid, whatever, because that was always in the back of your head. Like, maybe I'll find a good little girl who likes what I sound like, and it'll be cool, but...
Thinks I'm a rock star.
Yeah, she thinks I'm a rock star. I'm going to be whatever, Ted Nugent or whatever, but none of that. None of that was worth a shit, to be honest. It was just, but I didn't realize how much it was saving me until after I got back from Fallujah.
Right.
And then I was just angry. Not angry. I was full of rage. And I used to get beat up in high school, and like until I was probably about from the age of like maybe 13 to 15, I used to get pummeled on the bus for like an hour. The whole ride home, I just get beat up. I remember sitting in the fender well of the bus, crying, just covered in snot and slobber. And I'd just get off the bus, and I would just go into the woods, and I would break down old busted up trees, and I would take sticks and just beat things to get man. That's how I got rid of all my aggression at that point, because my dad always told me, don't fight. I didn't realize that what he meant was don't ever start a fight.
Yeah.
But he never, like I said, there's no rule book they're teaching your kids.
Right.
And I didn't realize that what it meant was don't ever start a fight, but finish it when it needs to happen, But I finally figured it out one day, and boy, did that bring out all kinds of rage. And it just became the fuel for the Lord of the Flies episodes later on down the road.
Right.
And I'll be honest with you, some of the worst times in Fallujah, I may or may not have drawn off all that rage, all of it. There was one point in time where I was more Marine than I ever was a corpsman.
Who were you there with?
RCT1, John Tulin.
General Tulin.
Yeah. What a badass.
Yeah, man.
What a badass. I used to tell him, I just saw him at our reunion last February, and he was like, Doc, what do you think about all this? We're in TQ. And I said, sir, I got one word for you. He goes, what's that? I said, Moab. He goes, no, Doc, we can't be doing that. I said, sir, we can still drill for oil. It's not a problem. But I used to have to tell him to put his Kevlar back on. We were talking about this at the reunion. I was like, sir, could you put your Kevlar back on so I don't have to spoon your freaking brain back into your head? And he would be like, all right, Doc. Meanwhile, he's got a big old stogie in his mouth on the radio. It's just hanging out over his door.
Yeah.
And he wanted to see every firefight. He wanted to be a part of every evolution, and he was always there. Like, you want to talk about a man that was chesty, puller inspired? That was him. Like, no joke.
Yeah.
It was a privilege to work with that man. It was a privilege.
And what was the time frame for this?
2004. This was January, February of 2004 I was there probably until about like mid-August, and then I was about to EAS, and so they sent me home, and they sent me home to EAS, and I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna get out and be a CRNA and like push drugs for a living to make a bunch of money, and be a legal drug user, legal drug pusher. And my buddy Tom Matula got me into that. Great guy. But then I got home, and my buddy Dave Jones was like, you really should go teach these kids how to do what you've learned to do in the last 2 tours of combat. And I was like, I hate you. I hate you, David. But it was a good decision, and I decided that I was going to go to Lejeune because my wife and kid had already moved across the country, and we sold our house at Pendleton. And so I moved to Lejeune, and I started working on Camp Johnson. I was there for 4 years.
So Field Med East is at Camp Johnson.
Correct.
For those not tracking.
Correct.
Yeah.
FMTB now. It used to be FMSS.
Now, is that when you started playing in and around the Jacksonville or Lejeune area?
Yep. I got there, and I met a bunch of freaking corpsmen who played music, and I was like, we're going to start a band called Slack Noise. Cool. Sounds great. There was 2 Marines and 2 corpsmen, and then it became two corpsmen, a Marine, a retired Marine, or a separated Marine, and a civilian. And then I left that band, and I was trying to start this project called Deliberately Broken, but that was, it was a lot. That's like we were talking about playing cheeseburgers earlier. Like, that was, for all you guys who don't know what cheeseburgers is, it was literally just a food joint. I'm just saying. We had a show where we basically moved all the tables out of the center of it, and we played right in the middle of Cheeseburgers, which was right off of 17, right there in the center of town.
Those are the best, though.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely. Some of the best things I ever did was there. Absolutely, man.
We played this one little, it was like a hamburger ice cream shop in Emerald Isle. And the owner just loved live music, and he
Yeah.
just like, yeah, y'all come on. And then ever since then, I mean, that was day one of Emerald Isle, and we're still playing it.
Dude,
I mean, there's
listen,
something about that place.
Are you talking about you're not talking about the place at the end of the aisle, right? Like right down there where like it's got like the whole parking lot is basically right in front of it, and then there's like this like little play area. There's like a little cabana and the ice cream and hot dog and hamburger places over here, and then they serve all the drinks over here.
No, this place you come over the bridge, like
Yep.
you're coming from the mainland. You go over
Right.
the intercoastal, and then it was on the left in a strip mall.
Oh wow, right on.
And then we also played Kahuna's
Cahoots, yeah.
back when it was a biker bar.
Yeah.
And then it became a beach bar, and then
Yeah.
it became the Emerald Club and the Short Foot
That's
E
where
Club.
I saw you at. That's where I actually saw you live for the first time, was at the Emerald Club. Yeah, you guys were playing at the Emerald Club, and I was like, this is cool. I want to be Mike Corrado.
Oh, we had some fun.
Dude, like, I told you when this started, I was going to tell the world about how much you inspired me, and it makes me emotional every time I talk about it. I didn't know anything about you at first, and the girl I was dating at the time, Tracy Wade, she was like, you need to be like Mike Corrado, and I was like, who the fuck is Mike Corrado? And that's how I saw that show. We went and saw you at the Emerald Club, and I was like, you're not wrong. And then I found out you were a major in the Marines, and I was like, yeah, why would I not do this? Why would I not do this? Because I tried to do it as a junior sailor in the young days.
And this is the exact same time that she's telling me about you. You've got to check this guy out.
Yeah. That's crazy. That's also the time that's right when I wrote Dear Mom. That's like, I wrote Dear Mom probably right in the middle of it's probably the end of our relationship. Probably at the end of our relationship, because there was a lot going on, and there was an intense relationship. And if you're out there watching this, I just want to tell you I'm sorry for anything I did wrong. Promise. And I mean that. So I was not a healthy person. True story. And there's a lot of things. When I came back from Fallujah, I was not okay.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what to do with it. I just wanted to go back and kill people. Like I told you, when I came out of Fallujah, I just wanted to be a Marine at that point. The only time I ever touched my med bag was if somebody was bleeding. I didn't touch it. It never came out of the truck. It never got inventoried. Like, if it didn't get freaking opened up, it didn't get inventoried. I didn't care. I wanted to go out and sit in the gun.
Yeah.
I rode to Ma Deuce. John Tulin walks out of the FLT building one day, and he goes, "Doc, what are you doing up there?" I said, "This is my day, sir." He looked at me and he goes,
He knows.
I would drive, I would gun, I'd do all of it.
I was over there March 05 to March 06. Had a fast platoon attached to us. And man, you talk about a little platoon of ninjas. Those guys, they were fantastic. And they had these two corpsmen, because they had two squads. They had two captains, two squads, two corpsmen. So
They set that SOP up for you, just so you know.
And man, their corpsmen were some of their best shooters.
Yeah.
But,
I was a sharpshooter for my truck.
Yeah, that
Because we
was
didn't
just
have a bunch of ACOGs when we went over there.
Right.
So they had to.
They were just starting to field those things.
They were just starting to field them. And so if you didn't have expert rifle, you didn't get one. And we got to the truck, and I was the only one in my truck that had an expert badge.
Yeah.
And so it was like, "Doc, you get the ACOG," and Travis Carlson, one of my that dude, another amazing Mustang, and amazing tactician. And he was the platoon commander for Apache, freaking tank scouts. Those dudes are ninjas for sure. And I love every one of those sons of bitches that I ever worked with, because they're all amazing, man.
Yeah.
John Schmuck, Willie Nelson, no joke, Willie Nelson. And that's just to name a few. There are so many of those guys.
Yeah.
Tommy Cupo, all those guys that worked with us. Man, I wish I could just sit here and name them all, but those guys were ninjas, man. Yeah. We were creating that SOP as we were moving. It was weird, because there was no standard operation protocol. There wasn't anything. And John was like, "I need a bunch of freaking hard hitters."
Yeah.
Because we're going out.
They gave those guys to us for convoy security.
Yeah.
And what it was is they were trying to get these guys, instead of just just sitting somewhere waiting to reinforce an embassy.
Right.
They're like, we got to get these guys in the fight. And that was right around the time they started doing it. And man, we were like, okay, they got this convoy security thing down, but we also have a direct action capability. And and then it was like, okay,
dude, listen, I'm
set
gonna
the
tell you
ninjas
right now,
free.
Absolutely. Listen, you know how many inserts we did? How many inserts John Toolan's PSD did?
A boatload.
A lot.
Yeah.
We inserted 1.5 up above freaking Route Lincoln. And it was a little short. I was a little mad.
Yeah.
But that was probably one of the most intense nights because nobody told us that there was not going to be any illume. It was completely dark.
Yeah.
You couldn't see anything with MVG. So my freaking gunner is in the top of the turret with his PEC 4 shining on the road, and I'm driving. And that's the only way we got back to the freaking concrete factory.
Good times.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
times.
That's at like 3 o'clock in the morning. And it's just like, oh, my God, what are we going to do? We're going to die.
Yeah.
We're going to die. And and as the sharpshooter, we didn't have any PECs. We had no PEC 2s, no PEC 4s. All the PEC 4s were brand new. PEC 4s were brand new. And we'd had all the PEC 2s out to the line companies. And so I didn't have a moonbeam and a laser. So I with my NVGs, if I shot at night, it was all Kentucky windage. So I would look the front sight and I'd be like pop, 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 pop. And I was just kind of trying to field my fire. And so finally they got me a 17 Charlie. The big old moonbeam.
Big scope. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what that looks like on the front of an M16? Holy crap. It's bigger than the M16. And it's that was so crazy. That was so crazy.
So you get back.
Wild.
Yep, you get back from the Wild West, like many, potentially coming off the rails a little bit. And then how did that impact the playing, the writing?
I was angry.
Yeah.
It was angry and rage filled. I mean, back then Tool was a big thing. Tool and all that, just hard industrial grunge, 9 Inch Nails, all that stuff. And when you heard me sing, like I made them sound like pillows. And I wasn't even trying to be we weren't doing death metal. Like I was playing 4 chords just like everybody else.
Yeah.
But like it was just like I wanted to make you understand that I needed your face to melt.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted. I wanted you to understand how much pain I had in my soul.
Right.
I wanted you to feel the hurt I felt every day. And it was aggressive. The first song I wrote when I got back was with a friend of mine named Tiffany Conley. And to be honest with you, it was probably, it's I Need to Breathe. And I was having a panic attack. We were having a coffee. We were just having a cup of coffee. Her husband at the time, who's now, again, her husband, long story, weird.
Song in that.
Yeah, there is a song in there.
Or an album.
Or
3.
Or 3 albums, maybe a whole epilogue. But so we're having coffee. He just deployed. He went over with 1-3 or 3-1. He went over with 3-1, and we were in 2-1 together, and we were just having coffee. And I started having a panic attack out of nowhere. I didn't know what it was.
Right.
I had no idea. I was like, I'm gonna die. I don't know what's happening right now. I can't. And I'm fondling my shirt and all this. And she goes, just slow down. She was a corpsman. She goes, just take a breath. Just take a breath. And I'm like, I'm trying to take a breath. When you're having a panic attack. When I was having a panic attack, I'm just going to explain this from where I was sitting. When I have a panic attack, it's like I can't get to the top of the tidal volume of my breath. I can breathe all day long, but the relaxed part after the breath never happens.
Right.
Never happens.
And everything just gets tighter and tighter.
And it's just like...
Yeah.
And then, and then you pass out and everything's okay. Or not.
It's like somebody's way of putting you in timeout.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally. Absolutely. Thank you, Lord, for that, for sure. But I didn't know what was going on.
Right.
And Tiffany just kind of calmed me down and talked me through it. And she goes, do you have your guitar? And I was like, yeah, it's in the car. So I went and got my guitar. It's in my Jeep. So I went to the Jeep and I grabbed my guitar. And we're sitting at this little coffee house in Chula Vista. I almost said Chulawana. Sorry. In Chula Vista, California. And we used to call it Chulawana, whatever, because it's right above Tijuana. And so I'm sitting there at this little coffee shop at Chula Vista. And we start writing a song, and so I start thumping the rhythm in my head that I'm feeling, and it's in my chest, and it starts to come out on the guitar, and it's just this rhythmic thing, and then she starts spitting a couple of words, And then I start spitting words, and by the time it's over, like 10 minutes, the whole song's done, bridge and all.
Right.
And I was like, oh wow, that was cathartic.
Yeah.
Wow. And that is when I realized what was going on. That was the very moment that I realized that was going to be my therapy.
Yeah. The light bulb moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And then I realized I needed a Marshall stack, I needed a Les Paul, and I needed lots and lots of power, because that's what it felt like inside my chest.
You get that off of some of your songs that are out there.
Yeah.
You got two versions of
Of I Need to Breathe. There's the rewired, and there's just the acoustic version.
Yeah.
The acoustic version, I think I need to remix it, but it has a very Middle Eastern vibe to it. It's very kind of chanty, kind of, and there's some cellos and, violas in there, and it gets a little weird.
Yeah.
But the rewired part's very grindy, very grungy.
Yeah.
And that's where it started. And it was just like, you know what? I guess we're going to just melt your face, because that's what it feels like for me.
So what was your first release?
Oh, Lord. My first real big release? Well, we call it release. I guess we could call MySpace a release.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that was probably the first place I ever released any music, and it was probably I Need to Breathe, and it wasn't that great. It wasn't. It was harsh. It was...
What'd you record it on?
A BR 1600 CD. Like a Roland Boss. It was a BR 1200. BR 1200 maybe. 1600 CD.
So just a local digital audio workstation.
Just a little digital audio workstation with a bunch of, digital, like, plugins and all that stuff. And you just kind of put it in where you want it, and like tune your drums and all that stuff. And and I was like, man, I really suck at this. And the reality is like, it wasn't just that. It was a lot of things, because digital was brand new at that point.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing solid state stuff at that point. Line 6 is happening, before the Helix ever happened. Oh, yeah. Before the Helix ever happened, the pod was the thing, man. The pod was the thing. And you could get some really good tones out of it. And I ended up buying a Line 6 Spider 2 and a 4x12 cab. And then I started working on learning how to use that.
Yeah.
And it just kept growing and just kept growing, and it never stopped.
I've seen you in several band environments, but I mostly know you from the songwriting events or the guitar pulls or whatever, to where you're doing the acoustic thing. And we're hoping that you will leave us with a song at the end of this. That's the beauty of shooting this in a recording studio, especially for the folks that get to come by, is they get to play us out. So when we wrap up with the interview, then we'll have a song. What are we going to hear?
I feel grateful. I'm going to play a song. It's called Walking. And it's funny that you say that about the whole singer-songwriter thing. I just was in Cleveland, and they were like, hey man, like, I like hearing your electrified stuff. He says, but it's a whole different experience when it's just you and an acoustic guitar.
Mm-hmm. You got a lot of texture in your voice. So there's a lot of growl in there. You can feel the energy, and that comes through. Your music teacher did you right.
Yeah. So walking is it's about my walking life, man. And it's about how I realize it's my homage to the footprints in the sand.
Yeah.
If you don't know the poem Footprints, and I'm just going to kind of sum it up in a few words, but walking down the beach and you look back and you see your footprints and you realize that you're not walking, God's carrying you, Jesus is carrying you. And so that's the footprints, and this is kind of my homage to that, because my whole life I've always believed in God, and I've always believed in Jesus Christ, but I never knew how to get plugged into that. And I didn't know why. And it always felt like there was this huge dark cloud in between us. And I finally, and it's only been the last 5 years that I've really connected solidly. And there was a lot of pain and suffering in there. And so it's about all of that to where I'm at now.
Yeah.
That's what walking is.
Can't wait to hear it. I see you got a beautiful Gibson guitar over there. Let's tell us about that.
I guess I should pick it up and show it to everybody.
Yeah, let's see it.
So I am a very fortunate man. I have an amazing endorsement, and for the most part, I love Ras guitars, but this is a gift from some really good friends at an organization called POVAT, Project One Vet at a Time. And what they do is they basically get people their percentages that they rate at no cost, at no cost to the veteran. And you basically become part of the family.
Sure.
And I'm not a client of theirs because I was already at 100% when they met me. But I am part of the family because I go up there and I play music for them all the time. And then, you know, and I just spread the word about them, and I try to share what they're doing and try to get people to see them.
Where can people find that?
ProjectOneVetAtAtime.org, or any social media stuff like Project One Vet at a Time. And, or, I mean, if you know how to get a hold of me, I can get you directed to that for sure. It was started by a chief master sergeant who is a combat controlman.
Okay.
And those guys, if you don't know what a combat controlman is, we talk trash about Air Force all the time, but
not those guys.
No, not combat controlman and PJs, because those dudes are real special forces. And I don't mean window lick or paint stuff. Like, I mean real solid dudes. PJs come off of an airplane in a hot zone freaking dancing. They don't care.
Mm-hmm.
They're crazy. I've seen it. I've seen it. But, you know, he was like, hey, man, this last year I was sitting in Wisconsin, and he's a smart ass. He's like, we want to do something. Blah, we're going to play this song, and Shannon loves to play freaking Alice in Chains, The Rooster, and yada, yada, yada. And so...
You do kill that song.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Lane Staley may or may not be one of my heroes, too.
Yeah.
But I don't want to end up like him. But he's like, so we got this guitar, and my brother is gonna play the guitar, and well, we're gonna sing The Rooster with Shannon. And I was just like, no, you're not. This is not about to happen. And so they pull the guitar out, and he hands it to me, and he tells me that it's mine for all the hard work that I do. And it hit me like a lead brick. And then he asked me, he goes, what song do you want to sing? And I was like, I can't breathe right now, asshole.
Yeah.
Like, I can't breathe right now, bro. Like, you want me to perform? And he was like, yeah, just take it away. And so the song that I'm going to play for you on the way out the door is the song that I played. And it was probably my best performance of that song ever. Because, again, Miss Wright, I was connected to my heart again. Not just because of this guitar, but all the people that have influenced my life, to include my parents, my grandparents, and my siblings, and all the people that I have experienced in my life, even the people that I've hurt. I just want to say sorry for all that, too. So I love you guys, and I'm grateful.
Right on.
And you were a big part of that inspiration.
Well, thank you, brother. Thank you. I got a chance to pick on that guitar a little bit before we got started here. We look forward to
it has a heart of its own.
Tune. Oh, yeah. And that's just starting the journey, you know what I mean? So, new music coming out?
I'm working on it. I think I want to do a whole acoustic album.
Right on. I
think I just want to do a raw, unplugged whole acoustic album. I just need to figure out how to get it done.
Right. Well, we're here for you if you want to take that.
That's that.
That
we're going to talk about that offline after this is over, just so you all know.
Well, we've had 3 of our 6 guests. You're episode 6, and 3 of our 6 guests have either recorded here or recorded here, prior to. This is, I spent a few years in the Marine Corps. And the last few, that you're coming to the end of your journey. Your body is telling you that
you don't want to listen to it, but you
don't listen to it, and then
you just make it worse.
You just gut it out. But the last couple of years, and always having music been a part of my life, I was just like, yeah, we're doing this, So we found this property in the beautiful Shelbyville, Tennessee, just outside of Nashville, and we kind of hit it from the philosophy of, if you build it, they will come. And I know it's been very therapeutic for me, both in building it with the team here, but then also just being able to do this. And I thought it would be cool to get a bunch of singer-songwriters and musicians and friends that I have met along the way, and start with them first.
Yeah.
And so we're gonna keep bringing folks in, and we want to spread the word about this amazing community that we have of
folks. It's a huge community. People don't know about.
They're great they're great musicians, they're great songwriters, and anything we can do to help support that or spread the word is what we're doing here.
I think that's what's inspired me about you the most, is the fact that you've always been there to support. You've always been there to support the Marine Corps, the Armed Forces, and not just as a leader and a supervisor, but and not just a mentor, but as a musician you've done it in so many ways. You've been a leader in more ways than you'll ever understand, Mike. And I don't know that you'll ever see it, but I want to tell you that you have led me in more ways than one.
Right on. Thank you. Thank you. Well, we look forward to more music coming from you and that acoustic album. I've chatted with a few folks here, and I feel like we've put a few statements out there, because you got to manifest things. It is now out into existence, and therefore it shall be so.
So shall it be. So mote it be, my friend.
One of the things that I like to do is say, who is a military or veteran artist that we and everybody else needs to be aware of?
That's tough, because I have a bunch of them right here in Nashville that I love.
Yeah. I know you're tight with Scotty.
Yeah, well, I love Scotty. I love Scotty, and Scotty, you definitely have to watch out for Scotty.
We're talking about Scotty Hastings. He's an Army veteran.
Yeah.
Combat wounded warrior.
Took 10 rounds to the chest from a PKM. Promise. Still out there doing the thing, man. Just getting it. And
he came by. You guys came by.
Yeah.
And that's when we met the Hero Stock folks, and we sat around and listened to a couple of the songs that Scotty had. Dolly Parton and Lee Brice were singing on one of them.
Oh, yeah.
And
The Last Shot Fired, written by Doug Johnson.
Wow.
What an amazing song. I heard Doug Johnson sing that song for the first time, because I got to hear it when it was done. Obviously, Trace Atkins did it the first time. Man, that was done during a Wounded Warrior function. And so, but when Scotty released it, it was amazing, because it had, Lee Brice and Dolly on it. But to hear Doug Johnson sit around a campfire with people like Joe West and all those guys, and he played that song, my heart split open.
They just rip you open.
Oh, because that man loves this country.
Yeah.
And I love me some Doug Johnson, boy.
He's an amazing writer.
He's a phenom. I'm fortunate enough to have my name on a song that we wrote together. It's called Running, and it's a good song, but man, just to hear that man just do what he does. Scotty and I were in that room writing that Running, and we were talking about chord progression, and Scotty and I were like, no, we just like not, and I was like, yeah, blah blah blah, and then Doug was like, hey, what do you think of this? And by the time we got done arguing over the chord progression, he was pretty much done with it.
Yeah.
And I was like, I think that's a wrap. What's the next song?
Beautiful.
Like, whatever, man.
Yeah.
And and Doug is just a graceful man. He's just a good dude. He's a good man.
Right on. So you're living down in Austin.
Yes, sir.
And I know you got to get going. You got to get down there and help out with all the crazy things that are happening in Texas. And God bless all those people out there.
Thanks, man.
But before you go, we'd love to have you play us out. So it's been an honor and a privilege to have you here. Seat's always going to be open. Anytime you got something going on, you want to come up here and talk about some stuff and whatever. I look forward to that. So
you have no idea what of an honor and privilege this is for me.
Right on.
I can never express it.
Ladies and gentlemen, Shannon Book, and he's not leaving the building. I'm actually going to leave out of here, and we're gonna set him up for an acoustic set, and be on the lookout for some new tunes coming your way from Shannon Book. Where can people find you?
Anywhere you get your digital music, and any social media platform that you are looking at, you will find me.
Shannon Book. All right, brother. Thank you so much. Thank you for your service. Thank you for raising your right hand, answering the call, and thanks for being an amazing ambassador of music and veterans.
Thanks for having me in the bunker, brother.
Yeah, man. All right.
It's been a pleasure.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Always a pleasure with you.
All right. VetTunes podcast. We're on all the socials. You can check us out on YouTube. We're now on Apple Podcasts and iHeart and Amazon. So check us out and let us know what you think. Drop a line in the comments and tell us how we're doing.
And stay tuned to VetTunes.
All right. We'll see y'all later. Peace.
Another day is gone and the sun sets on my back. I'm looking forward to the day I can relax. I take a deep breath and my whole world is consumed. I'm finally walking away from a life I've filled with doom. Some would say that I control my own destiny. I'm finding that hard to believe, living my life dressed as me. Serenity is a dish best served with heat, wrapped tightly with the love of those I need. Carry me to the places that I know. Take me back to that place where I call home. Another night falls and the moon is overhead. I cannot see my steps through the valley where I tread. As I move forward, Lord, I'm trying to fill your shoes. I fall short again, Lord, I know not what to do. Some would say that I have never walked alone. Lone pair of footprints in the sand, but I know they're not my own. Serenity is a dream that's lost with ease. The weight of the world on my shoulders has dropped me to my knees. I realize those times I've walked alone, Lord, you were carrying me in the direction I was shown. Serenity's a dish best served with heat, wrapped tightly with the love of those I need. Carry me to the places that I know. Take me back to the place where I call home.